Okay, guys. Yesterday we talk about the parameters that are required for launching an Amazon EC2 instance, and while we are trying to launch an Amazon EC2 instance, it got failed because after approaching the Amazon guys, I have found that my account, they have disabled my account for some reasons because it's been a long time in an inactive mode. That's the reason they disabled my account. So anyhow, we are doing all this launching of an instance in a free tier. So I need a account of somebody who have registered with AWS so that I'll show you that instance launching and connecting to that. So do anybody?
Sir, I
Yeah.
am facing a same problem, sir.
So what's
మీకు ఏదైతే
the
ఎర్రర్ వచ్చిందో నాకు అదే వచ్చింది.
what's the problem you're facing on?
అదే సార్ మీకు ఎర్రర్ వచ్చింది కదా వైల్ లాంచింగ్ EC2 ఇన్స్టాన్స్ సేమ్
Hmm.
నాకు అదే ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చింది క్రియేట్ చేసినప్పుడు అకౌంట్.
Okay.
కీ
So
కీ అయితే డౌన్లోడ్ అయింది కానీ ఎర్రర్ వచ్చింది మళ్ళీ.
okay. What about others? Have you registered?
క్రాంతి నా అకౌంట్ యూజ్ చేయండి క్రాంతి.
Prashant, yeah, just do me a favor. Just mail me through WhatsApp the account details. So let me log into this and we'll continue this session.
ఇక్కడ మీకు చాట్ లో వద్దనరా?
No, just give me on WhatsApp.
అదర్వైజ్ షల్ మెయిల్ యూ మీకు ఒకసారి.
WhatsApp చేయొచ్చు కదా, it's very fast. Mail అంటే మళ్ళీ mail compose, you have to compose it.
వన్ సెకండ్. కాకపోతే మీకు వాట్సాప్ చేసాను చూడండి సార్.
Yeah.
వచ్చిందండి. రైట్.
Okay, guys. This is how we are entering into this dashboard. Yeah, we are in dashboard of EC2 service at in Virginia region. So please make sure that before you do any activity, which region you have to do. So I'll go for Mumbai because it is near to us and somewhat less charges. Okay, next click on the launch instance and just choose what operating system flavor you wanted to go with. For time being, I'll go with Ubuntu. This is also an Linux flavor. So just select.
స్క్రీన్ కనిపించట్లేదండి.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, I'll repeat the session. So right away we are with Mumbai data center connected and we are on the dashboard of EC2. So just click here, launch instance. See, you can from this dashboard you can see what are all an overview of what services you are with EC2. How many instances are running? How many elastic IPs? Elastic IPs are nothing but the public IPs that are allocated to that instances. So let us assume you had 10 instances and you just registered 5 elastic IPs and you will attach that 5 elastic IPs to 5 instances like that. How many overall in Mumbai region, how many elastic IPs you had? The reason is that for every elastic IP, he'll charge you 250 rupees only for every public IP. And for every instance, depending upon the size of the instance and the EBS volume that is attached to that instance, the price varies depending upon the region, depending upon the size. Okay. And dedicated host, see, whatever the instances we launch, those are in the shared host. So you'll have a physical server, Amazon guy on the back end of his data center, then he'll have a very big physical server and he'll install some virtualization software. With the help of this virtualization software, when I perform some actions like launch actions from here, he'll launch a small virtual machine from that big physical server and he'll allocate that virtual machine to me, to my account. Similarly, he has a lot of accounts and a lot of account holders, so he'll launch multiple virtual machines on the same machine and he'll allocate that virtual machines to different accounts or to different persons. So if you don't want such kind of scenario, you are more concerned about your virtual machine because it is hosted on a server where it has colleague virtual machines, where a virtual machines that is given to other account people, then you go with complete dedicated hosting, so that he'll provide you a physical server for you only. ఒక physical box ఉంటుంది కదా, box తీసుకొచ్చి తన data center లో పెట్టి a complete physical server he'll provide for your account only. For that he'll charge a very high price because he's giving you all the physical server to your account, to your instance. Okay, it's like whether you wanted to go with shared hosting or dedicated hosting. Shared hosting, same physical server, multiple VMs, and it is shared with different accounts. Dedicated hosting, physical server, it is dedicatedly allocated to your account only. Okay, next, volumes. So after launching an instance, you have to create EBS, right? Elastic block storage. Elastic block storage, you create volumes and you'll attach that volumes to these instances. Hard disk flash on a computer. I said whenever I say compute hard instance అన్నా కూడా మీకు ఫస్ట్ కంప్యూట్ రావాలండి. మైండ్లో కంప్యూటర్ ర్యామ్ ఉంటుంది, దానికి ఇన్స్టెన్స్కి వాల్యూమ్ ఉంటుంది అటాచ్ హార్డ్ డిస్క్ లాగా. సో హౌ మెనీ వాల్యూమ్స్ యూ లాంచ్డ్ ఇన్ దిస్ రీజియన్, ఓవరాల్ కౌంట్ హియర్. అండ్ కీ పేర్స్, ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు కనెక్ట్ టు దట్ ఇన్స్టెన్సెస్ యూ రిక్వైర్డ్ కీ పేర్స్. సో overall key pairs you can see from here. And load balancers, security groups, as I said, security groups are nothing but firewalls. It's like an additional firewall to your instances. From here you can restrict what kind of inbound and outbound traffic should be allowed to hit to your instance or to the world from your instance. It's like a gateway. మన LAN కి ఒక గేట్వే ఎలా ఉంటుంది, అలానే మీ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ కి ఇది ఒక సెక్యూరిటీ టైప్. And load balancers. Load balancers is a different topic we'll talk about in later. So this load balancer used to deviate the traffic to multiple instances. We'll talk about it later. When I was going to explain, I have to draw a diagram for this.
కీ పేర్స్ దేనికన్నారండి? కీ
pairs are nothing but passwords. See, last step while launching an instance, you'll create a key pairs and you'll download that key pair, so that until unless you had a key pairs, you cannot authenticate into these instances.
Okay.
So go for launch instance. Choose what AMI, Amazon machine image, you wanted to go with. Red Hat, SUSE, Amazon Linux, Windows Server 2016, Microsoft Windows Server 2016, base nano, base with containers. There are different kind of SQL server, different servers ఉంటాయి. 2012 R2 SQL server. So choose anything. So I'll go with this thing, Ubuntu, because I wanted to launch my server in a free tier. I don't want to get charged. So he is offering this image, Linux image, for free tier eligible. Select and go with T2.micro, because I said under free tier for our practice sessions he offered us one virtual CPU and 1 GB of RAM of this instance for free for the complete 1 year. So I'll go with this. So how many instances? Only ఒకటే ఇచ్చాడండి. మీరు ఇక్కడ 2 పెడితే ఒక ఇన్స్టెన్స్ కి చార్జ్ చేయడు, కానీ సెకండ్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ కి he'll charge you. So I'll go with 1. And which region, which VPC you wanted to launch. By default I had only 1 VPC. And which availability zone. On Mumbai I had 2 availability zones. So choose, you wanted to go with 1A or 1B. I'll go with 1A. Do you want to provide a public IP for that? Yes, because I wanted to connect to that instances. Until unless I don't have the public IP, I cannot connect to that instance, because I am public for that instance. VPC ki LAN ki nenu outside WAN, I am a WAN person. So this is IAM role is different. Identity and access management, this is one service, I'll tell you later. So what kind of shutdown, whenever you click on that instance లో స్టార్ట్ చేశాక మీకు అక్కడ ఆప్షన్ ఉంటుందండి, టర్మినేట్, షట్ డౌన్, స్టాప్. సో ఇక్కడ ఏంటి, when what when you click on the stop button, whether it has to be shut down, when you click on this terminate button, whether do they change for public IP. Bharat asks, yeah, Bharat, they won't change the public IP unless you power off and power on the instance. See, for that we had another concept called elastic IPs. So ఇక్కడ నుంచి auto assign public IP నుంచి you're asking about charge. Yes, they'll charge for your public IP. For this public IP they won't charge. They won't charge for this public IP. They charge for elastic IP. The basic difference between public IP and elastic IP ante both are public only. Public IP assign చేస్తే whenever you power off your instance and power on your instance మీ IP అడ్రస్ చేంజ్ అవుతుందండి. పబ్లిక్ వ్యాన్ నుంచే వస్తుంది కానీ ప్రతిసారి పవర్ ఆఫ్ చేసి పవర్ ఆన్ చేసినప్పుడల్లా చేంజ్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది మీ పబ్లిక్ ఐపీ. దానికి ఛార్జ్ చేయడి ఐపీకి. అదే ఇఫ్ యూ అటాచ్ ఎలాస్టిక్ ఐపీ టు యువర్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్, whatever the state of your instance, whether it is in power off or power on, he will dedicate completely that elastic IP, that public elastic IP to your instance for that. For that, he'll charge you 250 rupees per month. Okay. So next, protect against accidental termination in order to escape from accidentally terminated. ఒకసారి console లో మనకు తెలియకుండా will right click చేసి ఏదో delete అని ఏదో వత్తపోయి for terminate. So in order to escape such kind of termination of your instances, you'll protect. It's like a dual authentication, dual pop-up message will occur. ఇది ఎనేబుల్ చేయడం వల్ల ఒకవేళ మీరు టర్మినేట్ చేసినా మళ్ళీ ఇంకో మెసేజ్ వస్తుందండి, యువర్ టర్మినేషన్ ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఎనేబుల్. First disable your termination protection and then terminate this instance. I'll show you how you'll do this. So in order to escape from accidental terminating of your instances, I enable this protection termination. And next, monitoring services. So there is a service with Amazon Web Services and we call it as CloudWatch. The purpose of this CloudWatch service is to monitor the resources, whatever it is, instances. If you enable this CloudWatch on this instance, it will monitor the CPU utilization of the instance regularly. It will monitor the hard disk utilization, memory utilization, network inflow, outflow. So different kinds of monitoring it observes on your instances. For this, he'll charge you additionally. No, I don't want to go with this monitoring services right away, so I won't check it up. Later classes, when we are talking about the CloudWatch service, I'll show you how to enable this CloudWatch and what's the charge he's going to charge on that. Next, tenancy. What kind of tenancy you wanted to launch, whether it is shared or dedicated? No, I wanted to go with shared because if I go with shared, I'll get less charge, and I know how I wanted to go with free tier, right? Free tier low, he'll offer only that free tier eligible on shared instances, not with dedicated. Next, add storage to your instance. So for that, I choose a Linux operating system, Ubuntu, right? For that, minimum 8 GB of hard disk is required, and we call it as volume. Okay, so minimum 8 GB of volume is required for installing the operating system of it. So that's enough for us for this session. And next comes the volume types. So what is volume types? So volume ante hard disk annadu. Basically, we on the last second or third class, I hope so, we have talked about these different kinds of hard disk. Hard disk lo two types untunnai, HDD and SSD. HDD is nothing but normal spin drive. Hard disk lo you'll have a disk and then paina oka chinna needle ఉంటుంది, it will rotate maximum 7200 rpms per minute, and the maximum retrieval speed of that HDD is 10 mbps. Okay, and SSD is an advanced version of HDD,
solid
solid
state device అంటే
solid state drive. So it's 10 times faster than normal HDD, where your retrieval speed will be very high, and we'll use this SSDs mostly for database servers. So here he categorized his EBS storage into three types and the volumes into three types. He named them as magnetic, general purpose SSD, and provision IOPS SSD. What's the difference between these three types? So magnetic is nothing but it's a normal hard disk and HDD, where if you go with select magnetic, again he'll launch that VM and he'll attach that for that VM whatever he launched, he'll attach the hard disk of this normal spin నుంచి ఉంటుంది కదా దాని నుంచి ఉన్న virtual hard disk ని he'll attach. If you go with provision, he'll allocate from the SSD so that your retrieval speed will be very high. What's the difference between general purpose SSD and provision purpose SSD ante? Let us assume that on the back end of Amazon data center, he has a very big physical server. A physical server lo, he is sharing even the hard disk with multiple persons, right? What he'll do, physical hard disk, he'll launch virtual hard disk on that physical hard disk. He'll create virtual hard disk on the physical hard disk, and he'll allocate that virtual hard disk to multiple persons. If you go with general purpose SSDs, depending upon the physical box size, so he'll allocate whatever how many VMs he'll create, so that the retrieval speed would be shared by others users. Say for example, ఒక SSD retrieval speed వచ్చేసి 1000 అనుకుందామండి. సో మీకు అక్కడ 10 VMs క్రియేట్ చేశాడు బ్యాక్ ఎండ్ లో, అమెజాన్ బ్యాక్ ఎండ్ లో. సో ఇట్స్ నాట్ మ్యాండేటరీ దాట్ ఫర్ 1000 రిట్రైవల్ స్పీడ్ ఉంటే ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి 100 రిట్రైవల్ స్పీడ్, 10 VMs కి ఒక్కొక్కరికి ఒక్కొక్క రిట్రైవల్ స్పీడ్ 100 అని ఉండదు. they'll share the retrieval speed depending upon, but the maximum retrieval speed would be 100 only. అంటే he'll share the retrieval speed. So for example, నేను వాడుతున్నాను VM and I'm doing some copy and sessions where other VM account is not doing some copy kind of sessions. So I'll consume his retrieval speed and I'll perform my copy with high speed. So for that reason, so generally you'll share the retrieval speed with other virtual machines on the physical or virtual disks on the physical box. If you go with provisioned IOPS, here you'll specify that no, see ఇక్కడ చూసారా, when you select general purpose SSD, so out of 3000 IOPS speed low, he is providing only 100 to you. When you go with provisioned IOPS, here I can select how many IOPS I want out of the 3000. Okay, because mostly depending upon the database server retrieval speed, కొన్ని ఎలా ఉంటుందంటే you created some database server, you wanted to create some database server with in this instance, and there are some thousands of people are going to collect and thousands of queries are going to get there for the database servers. Query and ఒక్కొక్క query, it's like a session where you'll serve your data to whatever the website or web server or client. So if you need high retrieval speed, IOP stands for input and output per second. Okay, you need high retrieval speed, then you have to specify high IOPS for your retrieval of SSD. So here this is the option. So you can provision the IOPS speed in this volume type, provisioned IOPS. Okay, so magnetic is cheap, general purpose is somewhat cheap. When you go with provision, it's high depending upon the IOPS what you provide. I'll tell you the pricing session after this, launching an instance of this different ABS pricing types and volume pricing types, how to calculate. So next, here what is asking, delete on termination. If you delete your instance, whether you wanted to delete this volume also, మీరు ఇన్స్టెన్స్ delete చేస్తే ఈ వాల్యూమ్ కూడా delete చేయాలా లేదా? If yes, just click over here, so that whenever you delete your instance, when you terminate your instance, automatically the volume that is attached to this instance will also get terminated. If you uncheck it, only the compute part of the instance will get terminated. And later the data అలానే ఉంటుంది ఈ volume లో. You can attach another compute to this data and you can make a server or instance. So next, tag instance, name that instance as my first instance. It's like a name tag that you provide stickering for your servers. Configure security groups. So on the security groups, you're creating a new security groups. I highlight it as new created. So I was allowing a rule of SSH to the world. So ప్రపంచంలో నుంచి anywhere, from anywhere, who has the private key, I mean that key pair, they can communicate with my instance through port number SSH, port number 22. So no, I don't want to open my connectivity to all the world. So I wanted to open only to me, myself, my WAN, my LAN. Then go with my IP. This is what my WAN IP. So whenever request comes from my WAN IP, so what is my WAN IP? So whenever the request comes from my WAN IP 163, then it will allow and it will make a connection with this. Okay, 163. So that's it. Just review the settings what you have just checklisted. Ubuntu server. Okay. Instance type t2.micro. Okay. Next, security groups. One security group created and allowed only SSH to connect. And instance details. It is launching in this VPC ID, subnet ID. Those are the unique IDs provided by AWS for their identification. And for my instance, I have only one Ethernet interface, ETH0. Storage, I provided 8 GB. Tags, I provided one sticker and the tag is my first instance. That's it. Good, launch. And create a queue pair, new queue pair, first time launching, right? I'll edit as key pair 33, download key pair. Yeah, launch instance. Your instances are now launching. Just click on this view instance. So from here, under this instances category, from here instances, you can see what are all the instances that are available with Mumbai region. So this is the state of the instance name, instance. This is the unique ID provided by AWS for this instance also. And instance type, where it is launched, AP Southeast 1A availability zone. What is the status of that instance? It is still booting up, pending. Status checks it is performing. I'll tell you what are the status checks. There are two types of status check for every instance, and one is whether the instance is reachable or not. One check. Second check is whether is there any problem with the network of that instance. Health of the instance ఒకటి, network of the instance ఒకటి. So these are the two status checks will be performed by Amazon guy on his instances. So మీకు ఎప్పుడన్నా ఇక్కడ స్టేటస్ చెక్స్ లో ఏదైనా ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చింది అనుకోండి, then you have to raise your ticket to this Amazon support team saying that I was observing a status check error in one of my instance, please resolve this. So they'll look into this issue and they'll resolve it. So that's the problem from their backend, not from our side. Okay, ఇక్కడ స్టేటస్ చెక్ వచ్చేసి ఇట్స్ 2 out of 2 ఉంది అనుకోండి, so there is no problem from their side. Might be there is a problem if I was trying to connect to my instance, might be my security group, I was lacking in my security groups, or key pair I was using the wrong key pair. And public IP address, this is the IP address given by AWS guy. So whenever I power off and power on this instance, the IP address change అవుతుందండి, because this is not an elastic IP address. So there may be a doubt for someone, మీకు ఒక doubt రావచ్చు. So how do I allocate elastic IP to my instance? I'll tell you. So this is what the key pair 33. By using this key pair 33 only, I can authenticate into this instance. When it is launched, launch time, and what is the security group for it? New security group. So under the security group, when you click on this new, so you are redirected to net security category. So for inbound, I was allowing only port number 22. You had a server with AWS, so for the inbound traffic, you allowed only port number 22. For outbound traffic, you allow all the traffic. ఎప్పుడైనా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి, మనకు సర్వర్ ఉందంటే you worry about your inbound traffic always. మిమ్మల్ని ఎవరు హిట్ చేస్తున్నారు ఆ సర్వర్ని, what IPs, what data is hitting to your server, you worry about that. What's out going from your server is not much concern. సో మీ సర్వర్ నుంచి బయటకి ఏది వెళ్తుంది అన్న కన్నా మీ సర్వర్ లోపలికి ఏది వస్తుంది, you always worry about the inbound traffic. Okay, so if I restrict this outbound traffic, what happens? ఈ అవుట్ బౌండ్ కూడా నేను ఓపెన్ చేయలేదు అనుకోండి ఆల్ ట్రాఫిక్, అప్పుడు నా సర్వర్కి ప్యాచ్ మేనేజ్మెంట్స్ కానివ్వండి, and when my server is wants us to communicate with other servers that is outside the world and to get some uh, downloads, it doesn't happen. Okay, so outbound traffic ante enti ante it's my server willing to communicate with outside servers or outside traffic, so there is no problem with that. When somebody is trying to communicate with my server, so he has to make an inbound request, so there you have to block that inbound traffic. So always concern about the inbound traffic. So in inbound I blocked all the IPs, all the ports I except EIP key I've given an SSH connection. So now let me connect to this instance. Go for this instances. Instance ID is used. So how do you connect to this instance? For connecting the Linux instance I use normally putty software, PUTTY. So on this putty software, just provide the IP address of that instance. What's your question, Bharat? Can we specify for multiple inbound IPs? Yes, you can specify multiple inbound IPs. It's up to, see, for every security group you can specify whatever the rule I wrote, we call it as rules. So this is what the new security group I created. For this, right away I had only one rule. Okay, if you want other, you just click on this add rule, add SSH to your IP. If you provide your IP, I'll allow. Or if you're dealing with another HTTP server, if you wanted to make this web server as this server as an web server, so web server serves with a protocol HTTP, so port number 80 I have to allow, so I'll allow port number 80 to all the world, to serve the website that is hosted on this server to the world. So here you'll write the rules. So what's the public IP of this instance? It's copy this and open this putty software, just paste the public IP, and I was using port number 22 to SSH, so I was SSH అందుకే SSH సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నాను ఇక్కడ. Now ఇక్కడ యూజర్ నేమ్ పాస్వర్డ్ is nothing, ఏమీ లేదు. So I had a key and the key extension is .pem format లో ఉంది. Can you observe that key pair 33.pem అని? Just let me open this in folder whatever I downloaded. Now by using that .pem format, I cannot authenticate into Linux server with the help of this putty software. So I wanted to convert this .pem format into .ppk extensions so that the putty can understand the .ppk format, not the .pem format. So how to convert this? For converting this, there is a software called putty generator. So I downloaded it and installed it. So puttygen, I'll open this puttygen, and for converting, first I have to load the .pem key into this puttygen software, and then later I want to convert. So just click on this load. What file I have to load? The downloaded file. What is the file name? Keypair -33. Where it is? And downloads yeah, here it is. Open. So successfully I imported a foreign key to my putty keygen software. Now I wanted to convert it to .ppk. So what kind of encryption? If you wanted to change with other kind of encryptions, if this is 2048 encrypted, you wanted to go with 1024, you can change here, it's up to you. Now from this putty keygen, just save private key. Are you sure wanted to save this key without passphrase protected? Yes. And see, it is converting into .ppk format. Just name it give the same name. ఏమున్నాయండి key name? Key pair 33, right? Key pair 33. So I created one key pair 33. ఇక్కడ create అయింది చూసారా? So that this extension .ppk extension can be readable by this putty software. So now I'll close this putty and I'll go with putty. Where is putty? So after providing the public IP of my host and port number of my host, and on the SSH left side low SSH low, expand this SSH and go for its authentication. Here you show the path of the ppk putty keypair 33.ppk. Open. So you selected the the key and just click on open. Now it is communicating. The server host key is not captured in the registry. It's just a pop-up message. Just go with yes. Yeah, it's logged in. Now it is asking for to provide login as username. What username should I provide? Root account. So he's saying instead of root just go with Ubuntu. Okay, I'll duplicate this session. Duplicate session. Ubuntu అనే యూజర్తో లాగిన్ అవ్వమని చెప్తుంది. Yes, I successfully logged in. Now I am connected to my Linux server, and the Linux server name is Ubuntu. Sorry, Linux server name is this IP-172.31.30.226. A Linux server name or private IP address name పెట్టాడండి, and Ubuntu is a user. So with the help of this Ubuntu user, I logged into this host. Okay, how do I getting the internet? Ping google.com. Yeah, I was getting internet for this instance. And what is the private IP address of this instance? If config, here it is, 172.31.30.226 is in private IP of this instance. And what is the public IP of this instance? This is what the public IP of this instance. So with the help of the public IP, I authenticated into the instance, not with private IP. So if I wanted to authenticate through private IP, I should be నా ల్యాప్టాప్ వచ్చేసి ఆ AWSలో ఉండాలి, ఆ డేటా సెంటర్. Then only I can authenticate it through that public IP. So this is how we connect to this Linux instance. We'll launch the servers. Okay, so guys, any doubts on this? I appreciate questioning and answering. Yes, Raghav, any doubts?
ఎస్టర్డే క్లాస్లో మీరు సెంట్ఓఎస్ తీసుకున్నారు కదా,
Yes.
ఈరోజు ఏమో ఉబుంటూ తీసుకున్నారు.
Yes.
అంటే చేంజెస్ ఏమైనా ఉంటాయి ఇన్స్టాలేషన్లో, క్రియేషన్లో ఏమైనా చేంజెస్ ఉంటాయా?
No, nothing. Operating system నాది ఇష్టం అండి, ఏది తీసుకోవాలంటే అది తీసుకోవచ్చు. If I want to go with Windows, I can go with Windows also. It's not like mandatory you go with this operating, depending upon your requirement. So రేపు పొద్దున మీరు ఆఫీస్లో వర్క్ చేసేటప్పుడు you'll get a ticket or you'll get a input from your higher people or the ticket provider will say that Raghav, I need an instance with Windows 2008 R2 operating system and with 200 GB of hard disk and 2 GB RAM and 2 virtual CPUs. All అలా టికెట్ ఇస్తారు. According to his ticket, you launch this instance and you'll provide the authentication details to them.
ఓకే.
Any doubts from Bharat? How many instances I can launch maximum for T2 micro type? Under the free tier, you can launch only one instance. Kani if you wanted to go with thousands of instances, there is no restriction. It's up to you. But right away, this AWS guy is restricted me only 50 instances. So if I want to launch more, అంటే T2.micro అని కాదండి, ఇన్స్టెన్సెస్ కౌంటే 50 వరకు ఇచ్చాను. నాకు 50 కన్నా ఎక్కువ నేను లాంచ్ చేయాలనుకుంటే I have to raise a ticket to this AWS support saying that I wanted to go with a launch very high production servers. నేను చాలా సర్వర్స్ లాంచ్ అయిపోతున్నాను. సో ప్లీజ్ ఎక్స్టెండ్ మై లిమిట్, నా అకౌంట్కి లిమిట్ ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేయండి అని చెప్తే హీల్ ఎక్స్టెండ్ ద లిమిట్ టు యువర్ అకౌంట్. అండ్ while raising a ticket, you just provide how much servers you going to launch and what, and like ante you have to justify them why you are going to launch with high number of servers. If you are justified them, then they'll increase the limit to your AWS account. ఎందుకు వాడు రిస్ట్రిక్షన్ చేశాడు అంటే ప్రతి సర్వీసెస్ కూడా he restricted with some limits అండి. So maximum you can create 50 security groups for one account. Maximum you can launch 10 elastic IPs for one account for one region. If you wanted to launch more elastic IPs, you have to raise a request to them. ఎందుకంటే see he is taking the money. ఇప్పుడు మీరు అంతా లాంచ్ చేస్తున్నారు, when he's going to charge you on the month end. సో మీరు మంత్ ఎండ్ లో క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్ లో డబ్బులు పెట్టలేదు and you launched some lakhs of ఇన్స్టెన్సెస్, ఒక 2000 లిమిట్ పెట్టకుండా ఒక 2000 ఇన్స్టెన్సెస్ లాంచ్ చేశారు. మంత్ ఎండ్ అది డబ్బులు లేవని చెప్పారు. ఎవరు లాస్? హీఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు లాస్. ఎనీహౌ హీల్ రిట్రైవ్ ద మనీ, కేసేసి మీ దగ్గర తీసుకుంటాడు. అది డిఫరెంట్ సినారియో.
Hey Karthik,
ఎస్
so currently you're running this instance in Mumbai location. Okay, so my users currently are, but for tomorrow in future, so I have users who wants to try to connect in somewhere from US or somewhere actually. So I assume that there should be a latency. So can I move this instance directly running from the location zone, or else like this instance is running, so I cannot. So my users need, if I feel there is a latency issue, that I need to create another latency, another instance there in US zone.
Yes, you have to create another instance in US zone. You cannot move this instance to other location data center. So you can make a replication of this instance. Ala ante there is a concept called AMI image. So ఈ రన్నింగ్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ని power of the instance and you can create an machine image. With the help of this machine image, you can launch another instance that is replication of this instance. And with the help of this load balancers, ఒక load balancer introduce చేస్తారు before this both instances. So a load balancer లో on the routing principle you'll write a rule saying that whenever clients wants to connect to my instance, depending upon the latency, which latency is less, so for that server he has to serve this website or whatever, that he has to make a connection. So it's an architectural diagram. We'll talk about this on later classes. Madhu, sure.
Okay, but one more question actually. So if you're running so application geographically, so you place the same types of instances on multiple locations and you load balance, or you try to connect, right? Is that way you try to do?
Yes, we'll try to do that
Sometimes
in this session. We'll try to do that, and so I'll show you, no problem.
Yeah. So one more thing, you were just talking about this, account details actually. So in some cases, like, I misconfigured, I misused some instances and my amount got debited. So can I block it right away so that in order to prevent my money, or else like if once, or else how do the monthly, how do this payment goes on? Is on a monthly or is on a daily basis deduction?
He'll charge you on hourly basis, but payment goes on monthly basis. On the first day of every month, he'll reduce the amount from your credit card, and you can see the complete billing information on my billing dashboard. For this, we'll have a separate session on this. Okay, మనకు ఒక session.
So
We'll have a one class.
it is also nothing to worry. I can block my card.
Yes, you can block your card, but if it's misused, who's responsible for misuse? So you shared the account details with somebody.
Right.
If it's from your side,
No, it's so example I only did, so I misused, as I forgot, I raised some elastic instance and I forgot actually, so it is running. So I suddenly came to know after 2 days, my billing dashboard, I generated some $100 actually, but now I don't want to pay, so I can block it, and so that for preventing my extra money actually. I mean, since I'm not using it, so
No, you
I
have to
can
pay
block it.
for it. No, you can block it, but you can terminate it, but the elastic IP, but you have to pay for it. So that's the reason before doing some actions, please make sure that just first estimate your cost, how much time you're going to launch this service, how I'm going to charge for this service. For calculating all this estimation budget, we do have a calculator. He provided a calculator and
Mhm.
he is calling that as S3 calculator.
Okay.
S3 AWS calculator. From here, you can estimate your price cost. So this is what the calculator. First, choose in which region you wanted to perform the action. I want to perform the action at Mumbai region. So what? I want to launch one server, Amazon EC2 instances. I want to launch one server. Uh, something name. How many servers you wanted to launch? One server. So how much time you are going to utilize that server on for complete month basis or weekly or monthly? I want to utilize the server to 100%. So what's the type of server you wanted to launch? T1, T2, T3 for M.M4 large, let us assume. So he's offering on that region, Mumbai region, for $0.169 per hour basis and $0.063 per reserved instances. I'll tell you later what is this cost difference between hour and reserved instances. So, and which operating system? Linux key price, and if you go with Windows operating system, the price varies 0.261. So he has to pay for this operating system, Windows kuda. For that reason, just slight increase would be high. So if you go for this reserved type, you are saving 41%. So ఏంటి అంటే you can pay to Amazon guy whether on hour basis, or you can pay to Amazon guy by reserving this instance type, not the particular instance. Remember, ప్రతి ఇన్స్టెన్స్ కి ఒక ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ఐడి ఉంటుంది. యూ కెనాట్ రిజర్వ్ దట్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ టైప్, సారీ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ఐడి. యూ హ్యావ్ టు రిజర్వ్ వన్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ టైప్. సో ఐ వాంట్ టు రిజర్వ్ m4.large instance type for 1 year or for 3 years. సో ద ప్రైజింగ్ వుడ్ బి వేరీస్. అండ్ ఆ ప్రైస్ ఎలా కట్టాలనుకుంటున్నారు? ముందే పే చేయాలనుకుంటున్నారా, లేదు మంత్లీ మంత్లీ పే చేయాలనుకుంటున్నారా? ఆ రిజర్వ్ చేసుకొని కూడా, అంటే వీల్ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ అప్ ఫ్రంట్ ప్రైజింగ్ అండ్ మంత్లీ ప్రైజింగ్. I'll tell you on the next sessions. ఇవన్నీ ఇప్పుడే చెప్తే మీరు కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవుతారు. దట్స్ ద రీజన్
Yeah, yeah.
we'll
Understood.
go in one by one class. So like that, I want to go with m.44. Okay, I wanted to go with Linux instance. Okay, close and save. And what's the hard disk you wanted to attach EBS volumes? This is for shared and this is for dedicated host. And no, don't want to go with hard disk వచ్చేసి some name it and one hard disk. What kind of hard disk you wanted to go? I wanted to go with magnetic. What is the storage? 100 GB. So overall bill వచ్చేసి ఇది $129 per month, monthly bill. If you run this instance per complete 1 month with 100 GB hard disk and the type M4.large, you'll get charged $129.31. And even not only this, we have to look after this network also, elastic IPs. I want to provide one elastic IP for it. అమౌంట్ కొంచెం పెరుగుతుంది, $132 వెళ్ళింది. సో డిపెండింగ్ అపాన్ వాట్ అండ్ డేటా ట్రాన్స్ఫర్. సి అమెజాన్ గాయ్ డేటా ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ కూడా ఛార్జ్ చేస్తాడండి. ఏ డేటా ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ కంటే అవుట్ డేటా ట్రాన్స్ఫర్కి, ఇన్ డేటా ట్రాన్స్ఫర్కి కాదు. He'll allow all the in data transfer to his data center for free. But when you wanted to download something from Amazon data center, then he'll charge you for data center transmission. A data transmission per GB he'll charge you. Okay. So estimated, నాకు వెబ్ సర్వర్ డిజైన్ చేస్తే ఆ వెబ్ సర్వర్ ఒక 100 GB పర్ మంత్ డేటా డౌన్లోడ్ కస్టమర్స్ లాగుతుంటారు దాంట్లో నుంచి. అంటే వెరీ లెస్ అమౌంట్ ఉంటుంది. వెరీ సెట్ క్యాల్కులేటర్. Did I close that calculator? Yeah, here it is. Like this, you can estimate. So you can propose this estimation budget to your management. Sir, if we are going with this instance, this thing, I will charge $141 per month. And there are a lot of services. Whether you wanted to add S3, Route 53, front RDS, different services. So ముంబైలో ఈ సర్వీసెస్కే వాడు ఎస్టిమేషన్ ఇస్తున్నాడు. ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఏ స్విచ్ టు వన్ వర్జీనియా రీజియన్ ఫర్ దిస్ ఎక్స్ట్రా సర్వీసెస్. అంటే ముంబైలో ఈ ఎక్స్ట్రా సర్వీసెస్ లేవు. ఎందుకంటే ఇన్ ముంబై డేటా సెంటర్ రీసెంట్లీ ఒక 2 months బ్యాక్ హీ లాంచ్ 3 months బ్యాక్ హీ లాంచ్ ద డేటా సెంటర్ ఇన్ అవర్ ఇండియా అండి. సో యాజ్ ద టైమ్ గోస్ హీల్ యాడ్ ఆల్ ద సర్వీసెస్, అదర్ సర్వీసెస్ టు దిస్ ముంబై రీజియన్. సో హౌ కెన్ ఐ ఫైండ్ కార్తిక్, హౌ కెన్ ఐ నో వాట్ ఆర్ ఆల్ ద సర్వీసెస్ దట్ ఆర్ అవైలబుల్ ఇన్ ముంబై? కన్సోల్లోనేమో అన్ని సర్వీసెస్ కనిపిస్తున్నాయి, కానీ ముంబైలో కొన్ని సర్వీసెస్ లేవని చెప్తున్నారు. జస్ట్ టైప్ AWS region services list. So here it is. So he basically divided all the globe into 3 categories: Americans, Europeans, Middle East, African into one category, and Asian into one category. So Americas lo una data center lo, I'll go with Asia specific lo. He has this many regions: Singapore, Tokyo, Sydney, Seoul, Mumbai, Beijing. ఈ regions లో he has data centers. సో ఏ regions లో ఏ services ఉన్నాయి. సో కొన్ని regions లో కొన్ని services లేవు. From here you can list. Okay. AWS, about AWS. AWS launched in 2006. What a story. Global infrastructure, where exactly the data centers are located throughout the world. So this orange color, all these regions, they have the data centers. And ఈ blue color ఏంటి అంటే they are planning, they are building up new data centers on those regions. Okay, ఈ నెంబర్ 320 అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ముంబైలో 2 అని ఉంది అంటే ఇన్ ముంబై డేటా సెంటర్ he has 2 availability zones. Okay, in Tokyo he has 3 availability zones. The count. అంటే నాట్ ఓన్లీ యూ, నా క్లాస్ వినడమే కాకుండా అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ ఆన్ ఎ ఫ్రీ అవర్స్ జస్ట్ వాక్ త్రూ దిస్ అమెజాన్ వెబ్ పోర్టల్స్. you'll find a lot of webinar sessions on YouTube and you just make it an habituate of hearing these webinars. So here Amazon Web Services webinar channel, just subscribe to the channel, just go through these webinars, you'll find a lot of interesting things. Okay, ఒక్కొక్కటి వచ్చేసి 1 hour 40-30 depending upon these are the sessions. They'll host these webinars on throughout the world, different regions, and you can also even subscribe for this webinar sessions also, so that he'll send an invitation link for your webinar to your mail ID and you can attend the webinars also. Okay, any doubts guys?
Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
సార్ కీపేర్స్ ఓఎస్ని బట్టే ఉంటుందా సార్? ఎన్నిసార్లు అయినా చూసుకోవచ్చు?
పార్డన్, ఒకసారి రిపీట్ చేస్తారా క్వశ్చన్?
యాక్చువల్గా నేను సెంటర్ వాయిస్తో నేను క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నా, అది క్రియేట్ అవ్వలేదు ఇన్స్టాన్సెస్. దాంట్లో డౌన్లోడ్ కీపేర్ డౌన్లోడ్ అయింది. ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ మీరు ఉబుంటుతో చేస్తారు కాబట్టి నేను ఉబుంటుతో ట్రై చేస్తున్నాను.
కానీ బిఫోర్ దిస్ ఆ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ఏదైతే క్రియేట్ చేశారో, లాంచ్ చేశారో EC2 లో ఇన్స్టెన్స్ సర్వీస్కి వెళ్ళి ఫస్ట్ అది టర్మినేట్ చేయండి. లెట్ మీ షో యూ హౌ టు టర్మినేట్ ద ఇన్స్టెన్స్ గైస్. సో ఐ క్రియేటెడ్ దిస్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్, రైట్? జస్ట్ సెలెక్ట్ ద ఇన్స్టెన్స్, ఇక్కడ సెలెక్ట్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, సెలెక్ట్ ద ఇన్స్టెన్స్ అండ్ గో ఫర్ యాక్షన్స్, ఇన్స్టెన్స్ స్టేట్, టర్మినేట్. So termination disable on the button. Why? Because we enable the termination protection while creating these instances, right? So first we have to disable the termination protection. So again go for the actions, instance settings, here change termination protection. Yes, disable. No, termination protection is disabled. Actions, instance state, terminate. Do you want to terminate? Yes, terminate. After terminating, you launch a new instance అండి. రెండు ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ఒకటేసారి లాంచ్ చేస్తే he'll charge for the second instance that you launch.
యాక్చువల్గా లాగిన్ అయినప్పుడు ఇన్స్టాన్స్ అనేది లేదు సార్, 0 చూపించింది, కానీ కీపేర్ డౌన్లోడ్ మాత్రం ఒకటాన్ని చూపించింది.
సో మీకు లాంచ్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఏమొస్తుంది ఎర్రర్?
అది నిన్న మీకు ఏదైతే వచ్చిందో సేమ్ అదే నాకు వచ్చింది.
Then there is a problem with your AWS account. Try to register with other mail ID. Or just
Okay.
support mail support కి మెయిల్ చేయండి. కాంటాక్ట్ అస్ అని వస్తుంది కదా అక్కడ. నేను కూడా వాళ్ళకి ఈరోజు మెయిల్ చేశానండి. నా అకౌంట్ క్లోజ్ అయింది, ప్లీజ్ get back my account. And
ఓకే సార్.
so even I raised a request, so I had a case number for that. Okay,
సో ఓఎస్ ఏదైనా కానీ ఆ స్టెప్స్ మాత్రం సేమ్ కదా ప్రొసీజర్.
స్టెప్స్ ఏమండి, మీకు ఏ వాయిస్ కావాలనేది మీరు యూ హ్యావ్ టు చూస్ ఎట్ దిస్ స్టెప్. ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్ చూజ్ ఏఎంఐ. అబ్జర్వ్ చేశారా, నేను 7 స్టెప్స్ చెప్పాను లాస్ట్ టైం క్లాస్లో థియరీలో. హియర్ 7 స్టెప్స్. చూజ్ ఏఎంఐ, choose instance type, configure instance, add storage, tag instance, security groups, review and launch. Okay. Any doubts, Kiran, from your side?
ఓకే.
No. And Monica, do you have any doubts on this topic?
EC2 ఇన్స్టాన్స్ రీబూట్ చేస్తే ఏమవుతుంది? మామూలుగా మనం షట్ డౌన్.
See, if you want to shut down, you can shut down from here. If you want to reboot, you can reboot. But reboot చేస్తే మీ పబ్లిక్ IP ఉంటుంది కదా, it will get changed. Is that clear? What happened when I reboot an EC2 instance? Reboot చేస్తే restart అవుతుందండి. Nothing. Where is my console? ఇప్పుడు టర్మినేట్ అయిపోయింది, అయినా ఇక్కడ నేమ్ చూపిస్తుంది. ఆల్రెడీ దిస్ ఇన్స్టెన్స్ ఇస్ టర్మినేటెడ్. ఒక 2 hours తర్వాత ఈ నేమ్ కనిపించదు. If you reboot, the instance will get restart. If you terminate, the instance will get completely terminated. If you stop, the instance will get power off in mode. If you start, the instance will get start. Okay. If you want to create from this instance నుంచి ఒక ఇమేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేయాలనుకోండి, ఏఎంఐ ఇమేజ్ క్రియేట్ ఏఎంఐ అంటే ఏం చేస్తారంటే కొంతమంది ఒక ఇన్స్టెన్స్ లాంచ్ చేసి, ఒక బిజినెస్ అండి ఇది, దాంట్లో ఒక ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తాడు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను ఒక ఇన్స్టెన్స్ లాంచ్ చేశాను, దాంట్లో ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తాను, వెబ్ సర్వర్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి దాని నుంచి ఒక ఏఎంఐ ఇమేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాను. సో ఆ ఏఎంఐ ఇమేజ్లో ఏముంటుంది, ఇన్స్టెన్స్లో ఉన్న ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్, దాంట్లో ఉన్న సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ఉంటుంది. సో నేను చేస్తాను, ఆ ఏఎంఐ ఇమేజ్ మార్కెట్లో పెట్టి ఐ సెల్ దట్ ఏఎంఐ ఇమేజ్. ఓకే, because I did an hard work of installing installing this web server application and configuring all the things, and I am selling my web server in the market like that. Not only web server, చాలా సాఫ్ట్వేర్స్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసే ఇన్స్టెన్సెస్ లో they'll sell that instances on the AWS market. So while launching an instance, it's your choice from which AMI image you wanted to launch. If you can go for the AWS market and you can search this different, మీరు ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ఉన్న ఇన్స్టెన్స్, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఈ మార్క్ లాజిక్ అనే ఇన్స్టెన్స్ లాంచ్ చేయాలనుకోండి, అదొక సాఫ్ట్వేర్. వాడికి ఏం చేస్తున్నాడు, ఫర్ దట్ హీఈస్ ఛార్జింగ్ 0.99 per hour dollars. డిఫరెంట్ ప్రైసింగ్ కొంచెం వేరీ, అంత వాడు ఇష్టమైన ప్రైసింగ్ పెట్టుకుంటాడు. అది మీకు ఓకే అయితే యూ కెన్ బై దట్ ఏఎంఐ ఇమేజ్. Okay, or you can search. I wanted to launch and I wanted to go with what kind of Zimra is an internal mail server and I wanted to go search for Zimra instance. ఎవరైనా Zimra install చేసి పెట్టారా? AWS market, no Zimra. I wanted to go with SVN. So SVN. Subversion. Yes, somebody installed Subversion on that server and he's offering as a free tier eligible. He's offering that free. It's not somebody who did this. You have to just look into that. Jenkins install చేసింది already దాంట్లో. So sold by Bitrock అని అతను he is selling that this image, AMI image. Ubuntu flavor లో he installed the Jenkins. Okay, who is Bitrock? Click on the Bitrock. This is one company. సో ఓవర్ 1 million యాప్స్ డిప్లాయిడ్ పర్ మంత్. అంటే వీడి పని అదే ఉండొచ్చు, అప్లికేషన్ సర్వర్లో డిప్లాయ్ చేసి సేల్ చేస్తుండొచ్చు. ఓకే, దిస్ ఇస్ హౌ యూ కెన్ గో. జస్ట్ మేక్ ఎన్ R&D. సో ఎనీ డౌట్స్ గైస్? Okay, no doubts. So I'll hope you had no doubts and you are good with this. And we have gone through this EC2. Tomorrow we'll talk about this. Did we miss out any services? Okay, we'll talk about this S3 service and we'll talk about this EBS also. Elastic block storage అయిపోయింది కదా. We'll talk about the S3 simple storage service. So it comes under the category of object storage. నేను చెప్పాను కదా, స్టోరేజ్ లో 2 types ఉంటాయి, బ్లాక్ స్టోరేజ్ అండ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ స్టోరేజ్. EBS comes under the elastic block storage and S3 service comes under the object storage. For with the help of this S3, it's similar like Google Drive, Mac or the Dropbox. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, and we'll talk about the elastic load balancers on the tomorrow session. ELB. What is ELB? We'll talk about that. These two things. Okay. For today, we'll end this session. Okay, guys. Have a nice day and bye bye.